The baby mama culture is so glamorized right now, especially if you can be with anyone from the hip hop industry. Many young women see it as a status symbol. People glamorize money so much that it has influenced an entire generation. They are proud to have their children by someone who is literally impregnating every woman they sleep with, without any remorse or considering the consequences. Countless single mothers in the Black community treat it like a rite of passage, then wear it like some kind of badge of honor. Don't get me wrong. The point of this video is not to degrade or insult single mothers. There are a lot of successful Black women out there who own businesses and make their own money. There are also those who left their partners for solid reasons. They've done everything they possibly can to give their kids a good life, and I respect that. We are here to talk about the toxic aspects of the baby mama culture in hip hop and the entertainment industry, the impact it can have on the kids and the entire community. For an average woman, being a single mom is absolutely exhausting. Now pair that with toxicity, narcissism, and blatant disrespect from their partners. This is real. This is a fact. It is happening all around us. Recently, there are more and more people who prefer to have children first instead of getting married, particularly in the rap industry. You see, men are considered gods for sleeping with multiple women, but very few actually stop to think about what this is doing to their children. There are already so many fatherless homes in the Black community. The hip hop and entertainment industry is only making it worse. In every social media post you see or every music video you watch, you can see just how popular the baby mama culture has become. But this is causing multi-generational trauma and a lot of suffering. Women drop out of their own lives to raise these kids, and in most of these cases, the man doesn't respect the woman or any of their baby mamas. The children then copy their behavior, and the cycle continues. People forget that children need emotional support, not just money. They need love and affection. They want their fathers to be there. Yes, they may be a child of a famous rapper, so they can buy whatever they want. But what happens when the father can no longer support them? What happens when that father has been absent from their lives the whole time? Take DMX, for example.
Damn! What you heard is what you hearing.
He was a record-breaking rapper with some of the best hits in the late 90s and early 2000s. At the height of his career, he sold more than 74 million records. He was worth millions of dollars and lived life however he wanted, but all that luxury and wealth was short-lived. In 2013, he filed for bankruptcy. He said the number one reason he ended up in so much debt was because he had to pay for all his children. Every single one of his baby mamas relied on the star for financial support. It got so bad that on July 14, 2015, the rapper was sentenced to 6 months in jail because he couldn't pay $400,000 in child support. DMX had a history of crime in Erie County, including traffic violations and failure to pay child support. Then in 2021, DMX had a serious heart attack which was caused by cocaine overdose. He spent a week in a vegetative state until the family decided to take him off life support. The man died with millions in debt, no will, and 15 children. During a talk show, DMX sat down with one of his sons, Xavier. Xavier asked DMX for a healthy relationship, but the only way for it to work was for DMX to stop using drugs for good. Then DMX got defensive and shifted the blame onto his son. He said that even though he only had unconditional love for his son, he wasn't going to change himself for anyone. It is so sad and heartbreaking that DMX died shortly after. After his death, his entire family started fighting to take control of his estate. It was like a free-for-all. Everyone is trying to get as much out of it as they can. But it is not only the men who prefer having children outside of wedlock. A lot of women in the music industry choose to do it as well. Sexyy Red is a perfect example. She is ratchet and she knows it, plays into it, and uses it to her advantage. Whether people like it or not, her music is making a ton of money. This is her in the hospital giving birth to her second baby. And in the room, she was playing My Baby Daddy. If you are not familiar with the situation, Sexyy Red tried to hide the pregnancy in the first few months. Her career was doing pretty well and she was on tour with Drake and tried her best to keep the pregnancy a secret. She was trying to suck her stomach in and wear clothes that wouldn't show. She was also pregnant on the Moneybagg tour and nobody knew. But she couldn't hide it forever. She officially announced her pregnancy in October, but tried to keep the name of her baby daddy out of the tabloids. When it was finally time to give birth, she made a whole scene on Instagram posting a bunch of provocative pictures and videos for fans. The comments were divided. Some applauded her for still being who she is. They congratulated her for giving birth. Others said that her behavior was outrageous and embarrassing. She was doing too much to get attention, and this has sparked a lot of controversy. Sometime later, Sexyy Red finally decided to show her baby daddy and posted some photos of the two of them together. but then deleted the post. So people started speculating that they broke up, but nothing is clear so far. A lot of young people are looking up to these artists and celebrities. They want to be just like them, and because we see this all over social media, it has become a serious problem, especially for the average family. This type of lifestyle is reinforcing negative stereotypes about Black people in general, about Black fathers being absent, irresponsible, and completely disengaged from the children's lives. Then Black women are seen as bitter and angry, like they don't know how to choose a partner. But when we see so many children growing up in broken families, we can see a pattern there, one with the potential to have serious consequences. In many of these cases, the children are left broken and bound to repeat the same mistakes. Now, sprinkle in some poverty, bad education, guns, violence, and voila, you get a recipe for disaster. This causes a further decline in the nuclear Black family. At one point, people thought it would be a good idea to make these things into a reality show. Shawty Lo from D4L made headlines in the early 2000s. He had 11 kids with 10 different women. He started working on a TV show called All My Baby's Mamas. The show would have existed at a time when not many TV shows had all Black casts. There weren't many images of Black people on TV. It was a perfect storm for controversies about cultural representation and pathologies. Something like this could have caused irreparable damage to the perception of Black families. Before the show was supposed to air, a national petition was launched about the stereotypical portrayal of Black families and glamorizing sex before marriage and sleeping with many different partners. As the backlash got bigger and bigger, boycotts and protests followed. This is why the show was canceled before it even had a chance to release a single episode. Unfortunately, in 2016, Shawty Lo passed in a deadly car crash. Fellow rappers and fans came to pay their respects. Now, let's talk more about the effects of an absent father. As single-parent households have become more and more common, the fixation on family structure has disintegrated. More than half of young Black Americans are being raised by a single parent, mostly their mother. Because they don't have a role model or a consistent father figure in their lives, these children are bound to look for that missing piece in their future romantic partner. Children raised without a father are more likely to drop out of school, turn to drugs and alcohol, and develop mental health problems. There are a bunch of studies to back this up. When these kids grow up, they are more likely to end up in bad and toxic relationships. Many of these children stay stuck in a cycle of poverty, have a child out of wedlock, or end up behind bars. Just look at the statistics. 90% of runaway children have an absent father. 71% of high school dropouts have an absent father. 85% of youth in prison have an absent father. 85% of children with absent fathers have behavioral disorders. The list goes on and on. On top of that, 84% of Black women are the breadwinners and sole caregivers in the home. So if you do the math, an average baby mama is not taken care of like Cardi B or any other celebrity. Most of the time, she has to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. This is a serious cultural issue in our community. It creates a ripple effect and significantly downplays the benefits of a nuclear family and marriage. Is this the future we want for the entire Black community? Shouldn't we be protecting our own and working together to create a better world for our children? Why do we allow rich people and influencers to be the standard? They are supposed to influence us and make us feel good, right? We see them being rich, buying fancy cars, Birkin bags, huge mansions, and going on these expensive vacations. It went from them influencing us to make us feel better, but in reality, they make us feel worthless. Whenever you see someone in their 20s living the life and getting paid a ton of money, while you go back to your minimum wage job, you end up seeing yourself as a failure. The problem with these modern day women and men is that they try to influence us with things that are unattainable. In a sense, like, you gotta have this and you are set for life. If you make a baby with a rapper, then he is stuck with you forever. He will pay for everything. These people are constantly spreading mindless consumerism. They will do anything for money, even create a fake lifestyle. But many of these so-called influencers are masters of illusion. They create the perfect image of someone who lives the good life. This creates completely unrealistic expectations for their followers. Now think about what this is doing to the younger generation, especially Gen Alpha. Young people are dedicating a lot of time to watching these types of people. It's tiny things that can create big impacts. Even if these influencers and celebrities have a messy life, the people watching them will still see them as fun. They will still remain hooked to them. It's the drama that creates this superficial charm and keeps the younger generation drawn to the thought that being rich and famous will make them happy. But in reality, many of these people end up raising their children in toxic relationships, which only makes it a million times harder for their kids. Of course, I'm not saying that everyone who hooks up with a rapper is there to secure money from him. It is obvious that things like these are highly prevalent. Take Slim Danger, for example. She has been on the hunt for rappers for a while now. She slept with Lil Durk and Lil Baby, among others. She is also the mother of Chief Keef's son, but in a recent podcast, she even admitted that she was getting pregnant just for money. She said she was trying to have a kid with Chief Keef so that she could have an easy life.
I didn't get pregnant yet, so I gotta try again. I gotta try again. This dick good. Selena,
Then she goes on to insult Chief Keef for not doing anything for his child. On many of her Instagram posts, she can be seen going from one guy to another. They are buying her different things. Chief Keef has multiple kids with different baby mamas. Over the years, the rapper has had a number of problems when it came to child support. One of them filed a lawsuit for child support and won. She allegedly gave birth in 2011 when the rapper was just 15 years old. Based on the lawsuit, the rapper had to pay $2,600 a month. To top it all off, Keef also has to pay $500 for daycare expenses and $10,400 for missed child support payments. Even though Keef is often seen with lots of cash in his pockets, he didn't pay child support. However, Keef has only paid $1,900 so far. The woman says she can't support herself without his payments and needs him to start paying immediately. Remember, this is just one out of his multiple baby mamas. What about the rest? Another one of his baby mamas, a woman in her 40s, said that Chief Keef should be sent to jail for not paying any child support for their daughter since the moment she was born. Well, at the rate he is going, he should be careful not to end up bankrupt. But this is also affecting the way people view black women in general. In America, there is a common stereotype that black women are arrogant, loud, argumentative, and disrespectful. While this is the furthest thing from the truth for the majority of black women, there are many black women who copy someone who portrays these characteristics, especially female rappers and celebrities. They try to mimic this angry mama behavior. In the past, a lot of white women complained about the sexuality of black women, them stealing their men. Over the years, we've seen many stereotypes shift and change, but the only thing that has stayed the same was the stereotypical image of the angry mama. The black community has been through so much, and now, where we've come to a stage where a lot of black people can thrive and succeed, we still see the destruction of the family concept. Do you see all these baby mama wars? This is something that happens a lot, and it is very real. The lashing out, the drama, the chaos. Whenever you share your partner with different people, there will be a lot of problems. These are the kinds of problems that everyone is not equipped to deal with. The resentment, jealousy, and anger turn into everyday life. Instead, we should be focusing on the kids. There are a lot of times when children are forced to choose between their parents. At other times, the mother or father will promote themselves to look like the better option. Then, when the child is brought into the mix, there is much bickering. We have all these baby mothers going back and forth fighting for their baby father's attention, fighting for the money and the rights of the child, or hating all the other baby mamas involved. No matter how much money the child has, if every time the child comes home and it is a war zone, the child will never get the emotional support, love, and affection they crave. Sometimes they will see their father tell their mother that they are done with the other girl, only to end up impregnating her again. This is creating wreckage and a ton of damage. Relationships in broken homes are some of the most physically and mentally exhausting to be in. At the end of the day, the mothers are left to care for all the children, while the fathers go on to make as many children as they possibly can. So, whose fault is it? Are these women being manipulated, or do they know what they're getting themselves into and willingly choose to do so? The point is not to demonize the black community. It is to talk about what's right. How is it okay to leave so many children behind? For the parents to throw shots at each other every chance they get? What lessons are we teaching these children? That it is okay to be at war with your partner. Women should go for any man who can provide, and men shouldn't care what they leave behind. It makes a lot of sense to blame one or the other, but in reality, children are the victims. It's a man's choice to have this many baby mamas, but it is a woman's choice too. Every broken home has a choice. It takes two to create life. In many, if not most of these cases, the women are making a conscious decision to have a child with someone who will not put a ring on their finger, someone who doesn't want commitment, and they say it right from the start. Some of these women believe that the child can be some form of an indicator that the father will stay in their lives. Again, this is not to demonize single mothers. It is to understand that many of these choices come from the ego. Your ego says, yes, Being a baby mama to a rapper feels good. I want the approval, a bigger title and a crown. I need people to respect me. I really need the most expensive things to show how formidable I can be. But ego lives on delusion. It feeds you lies. For example, it can create an exaggerated self-importance. A rapper's baby mama might think that she should come first because she gave birth to his first son, but that rapper is with 5 other women now. Yet her ego will make her believe that the rapper should make her a priority over any other situationships he has. Then baby mamas start to feel threatened by the new girlfriend. They think that this new one is trying to replace her and her child. She will get in the way of everything. So if the rapper starts to move on or get engaged, then the ex is most likely to start unnecessary drama. Her ego can't stand being out of the spotlight, so it creates conflict to keep herself at the center of attention. We can see a lot of these cases where the exes undermine the parent. They tell their child that their father doesn't care about them. He picks someone else, so the child would always get left behind. Exes spread these lies to maintain a sense of superiority and control. They want to stay relevant. When you think about the pick-me behavior or consider pride, then ask yourself how 2 completely incompatible people come together and make a conscious decision to make so many children and bring them up in unstable situations. You can see that their home is eventually going to be broken. We shouldn't completely dismiss the fact that raising a healthy child is best done when both parents are emotionally mature and willing to step up. Children don't need to be traumatized. They don't need to see emotional or physical abuse. Remember, all of these things can have serious consequences later in the child's life. But this isn't just a Black people problem, so it is wrong and ignorant to classify it as such. Plenty of people of different races and colors have the same problem. The toxic culture of baby mamas is everywhere. It has become the norm. Owen Wilson has 3 children by 3 different women. Steven Tyler has 4 children with 3 separate women. Clint Eastwood has 8 children with 6 different women. People see marriage as more of a commitment than children. But the truth is, you can pick your spouse, but your kid can't pick their parent. You will hear a lot of people say, we don't need a piece of paper to show we love each other. But that piece of paper is there to give rights. As a wife, you are more guaranteed legally and financially. Married couples can qualify for higher tax deductions and credits than single filers. Then there are social security benefits, sharing costs, and so on. There's also life insurance. If something happens, God forbid, to the spouse, then the other partner can keep the house, cars, and bank accounts. Besides, when you are legally tied to someone you trust, it can be that much easier to build and share wealth. It is almost impossible to build a lot of funds if you are alone, getting paid minimum wage, and trying to take care of the kids all by yourself. Also, having married parents provides both the partners and their children with long-term stability. If you are lucky enough to find the right partner, you will always have a partner in crime, so to speak. You can share almost everything with each other, from dreams to bad experiences. Your spouse should always be there supporting you and looking out for you every step of the way. Then there is the psychological aspect. Being in a stable and healthy marriage can be better for the child's psyche. Ever heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child? It comes from an African proverb, and it makes so much sense because it is very true. To take care of a child, you need an entire support system, a safe and healthy environment where your child can flourish and develop. They can realize their hopes and dreams. A good marriage not only alleviates the economic pressures, but also gives the children a stable foundation. Now, I do understand why some people don't want to get married and have the government in their business, but we can at least start raising our children in the same household. That's a good start. But a baby mama doesn't have that security. She doesn't have that financial or emotional stability. The only thing that connects her to her partner or ex is the child. That's it. This is why it's incredibly important to be mindful of who you have children with, and choosing to do it with someone who already has impregnated a ton of women and doesn't take care of any of his children. That in itself is a recipe for disaster. He may be a famous rapper now, but what happens 10 years from now, 20 years? When the child is all grown up without ever having a father figure, will that child care that their dad used to be famous in the music industry? Maybe, maybe not. There are a lot of children who are raised to value materialism above all else, but the trauma will still be there. The abandonment issues will still be there. The anxiety, depression, withdrawal, fear of rejection, they are not going anywhere. A lot of these children end up in destructive relationships because they feel insecure and emotionally needy. They always look for that perfect father fantasy that they have in their mind. So they are often incapable of accepting anything else. It is very difficult for these children to start fresh and learn to trust somebody or set boundaries. In the United States, there are millions of women who are raising their children alone. The rates are much higher within the Black community. The question is, do you want to be another statistic and get on board the hype train to have a baby with a rapper, actor, or wealthy man? Or would you rather find someone who loves you and wants to raise a kid in a welcoming household? Every woman and man deserves to be loved and respected. We all deserve to be happy. And just because someone has a higher net worth, it doesn't mean they will be good for the kids. Children also want love, attention, affection, and time. So what we do need is to encourage all young women and men to respect themselves, focus on their education, and wait for the right time to find their partner. But if you don't want to get conventionally married, that's also okay. There are a lot of people who are not married, but they stay together because they know how to make it work. They know how to be healthy. If you are young and single, it is important to work on your skills and try to heal from past trauma as much as possible. This way, you can build a healthy environment not just for people around you, but for yourself as well. What do you think is important when it comes to having kids? Do you think marriage helps, or is it just a trap? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The video on the screen shares exactly how the US government destroyed Black families back in the day. It is a must-watch if you haven't seen it yet. Click on it now. We'll see you over there.